I always believed that family was everything, especially when it came to my brother. We grew up in a modest home, where our parents worked hard and taught us the values of loyalty, honesty, and above all, blood being thicker than water. We were just two boys, scraping knees and chasing dreams in the same backyard, sharing bunk beds and hand-me-downs. He was the older one, the one who was supposed to look out for me. So when our father passed and the lawyer handed us the documents dividing everything between us, I didn't even hesitate. My brother Derek had a wife, 2 kids, and mounting bills. I was single, childless, still trying to figure my life out. I thought, what do I need all this for? He needs it more. I signed over most of my share of the inheritance. Land, stocks, even part of the family home. I did it without asking for anything in return. No lawyers, no agreements, just trust. He hugged me that day, told me I was the best brother in the world, said he'd never forget what I'd done for him. I believed him. God help me, I did. At first things felt right. He seemed grateful. He even asked me to move in with him temporarily while I figured things out. I thought, this is what family does. We support each other. But it didn't take long before things began to change. He and his wife, Sandra, started making little comments. Harmless at first, jokes about how I was still living under their roof, how I should pitch in more, even though I was already covering groceries, bills, and their kids' school fees. I brushed it off, told myself they were stressed. Maybe they were just adjusting. But those little jokes became colder, meaner, the kind that sting and make you pretend you didn't hear right. Then came the night everything broke. We were sitting at the dinner table, his kids chatting about school, Sandra scrolling her phone, and Derek just came out with it. Look, man, I think it's time you found your own place. You've been here long enough. It was like getting slapped in the face with words. I looked at him, confused. I thought I was helping out, I said. I've been paying for half of everything. You needed help. He shrugged. Yeah, but it's not a charity case, and we need space. You're not really part of the family anymore. You don't own anything here. Not really part of the family anymore, that one sentence echoed in my head for days. After everything I'd done, the sacrifices I'd made, not for recognition, not for praise, but out of love, this was how he repaid me? He packed my things in boxes and left them by the front door like I was a stranger. And I left. No fight, no scene. I didn't even yell. I just nodded, picked up the boxes, and walked out. My heart wasn't just broken. It was ripped out and stepped on by the person I trusted most. I didn't sleep for 2 nights. I couldn't. I replayed everything, how naive I'd been, how blind. But then, in that sleepless haze, something changed. I stopped feeling hurt. I started feeling cold. And that's when the plan began. I didn't tell anyone what happened. Not my friends, not even my ex, who'd always warned me that Derek was the kind of man who smiled with a knife behind his back. I kept it all to myself. Silence has a way of sharpening pain until it becomes purpose. And my purpose now was simple. To take back what was mine. Not out of rage, but justice. Quiet. Precise. I didn't want to destroy him. I wanted him to watch as everything he stole found its way back to me, piece by piece. I started by going to the one person he had underestimated most. Our father's old accountant, Mr. Hale. He was in his 70s now, still running his little office downtown. When I walked in, his eyes lit up like he'd seen a ghost. Your father always said you had the real heart in this family, he told me as we shook hands. I told him everything. The inheritance, the betrayal, the eviction. Mr. Hale didn't say much, but he nodded slowly and said, "Let's start with the land." What Derek didn't know was that while I had signed over the property rights, the transfer hadn't been fully completed. There were zoning issues, loopholes, and one clause that gave me legal standing if the land wasn't used for family purposes within 2 years. Derek had converted part of it into rental units, without informing the council or me. Mr. Hale handed me a folder. "You still have leverage," he said, "already. We just need to be smart." So I got smart. I didn't go to court. That would have been too obvious. Instead, I reported the zoning violation anonymously to the city. They launched an investigation. Derek panicked. The construction company he hired had cut corners. He was fined. Hard. But that was just the beginning. Next, I contacted the investment firm where Dad's stocks were still partially held. I learned that while Derek had moved them under his name, he never changed the beneficiary structure. Meaning, if anything happened to him, the assets defaulted back to me. Not Sandra, not his kids, me. So I made some investments under a separate trust, a quiet move, but enough to rattle the board when they realized how much of the portfolio was still technically tied to my name. Derek's reputation with them started to falter. He had promised them control, but I had the key. Then came the house, our childhood home, the one our father built brick by brick with his own hands. Derek and Sandra had planned to sell it. Flip it, they said. Make some profit. I reached out to the Historical Preservation Society. Turns out, if a property had heritage value and family attachment, and you could prove emotional significance, you could pause the sale process. I walked into that court hearing with a photo album from 1996, and a letter Dad wrote to me before he died. The judge looked at Derek and asked one simple question. Why wasn't your brother informed? Derek had no answer, because there was none, and that's when the judge ordered the property frozen until further review. His deal fell through. The buyers backed out. And Derek? He lost the down payment. Sandra called me the next day. Her voice trembled, not with anger, but fear. What are you doing to us? I didn't raise my voice. I didn't scream. I just said, taking back what was mine. She hung up, but the most satisfying part hadn't even come yet. You see, Derek had opened a new business using funds from the inheritance. He branded it as a family-owned legacy company. What he didn't expect was the name. Our last name. And guess who still held the trademark? Me. While he was too busy renovating and launching, I filed a cease and desist. My lawyer sent it on a Monday morning. By Wednesday, his website was offline. His signs came down. Customers started asking questions. Word spread. I didn't even have to lift a finger. His arrogance had done the lifting for me. But I wasn't done yet. Not until I saw the regret in his eyes. The one he tried to bury beneath pride and cheap suits. It was almost poetic how everything unraveled. Derek, once the golden child who stood tall on the foundation I helped build, was now stumbling through the ruins of his own choices. The money was drying up. His business was paralyzed. Sandra had taken the kids to her sister's for a break, but we both knew she wasn't coming back. And that big house he kicked me out of, listed for sale at a loss, desperate fingers clinging to what was left of his pride. Still, I hadn't spoken to him, not a single call. Not a text. He was drowning, and I watched quietly from the shore, but something inside me wasn't satisfied. Not because I wanted to see him destroyed, but because I needed him to understand. So I went back to the place where it all began. It was a rainy Thursday when I showed up outside the family home. Derek answered the door looking like a man who hadn't slept in weeks. His hair unkempt, shirt half tucked, eyes puffy and red. For the first time in my life, I saw not my brother, but a stranger who looked lost in a house that once held all our childhood laughter. He didn't say anything, just stared. I walked past him and stepped into the living room. Everything was bare, boxes, echoing walls, no more kids' laughter or the clatter of dinner plates. Just silence. I never wanted to destroy you, I said softly, turning to face him, but you left me no choice. He sat down slowly, like the weight of what he'd done finally dropped onto his shoulders. I thought you wouldn't fight back, he muttered. You've always been the quiet one, the giver. I nodded. Exactly. I gave everything. Not because I was weak, but because I loved you. And you turned that into a weapon. Tears welled up in his eyes, and I wasn't prepared for what came next. I was jealous of you, he whispered. Dad always said you had the better heart, the stronger will. I thought, if I had more, if I owned more, maybe I'd finally be more than you. His voice cracked. I just wanted to matter. There it was. Not anger, not hate, but a confession. A glimpse into a broken soul, haunted by shadows he never knew how to face. And in that moment, I didn't feel victorious. I felt sad. I never needed you to be more, I said. I just needed you to be my brother. He buried his face in his hands, and for the first time in years, we sat in silence that wasn't cold, but full of everything that had gone unsaid. I didn't take the house back. I didn't finish the legal battle. I walked away that day, not with revenge, but with clarity. I had reclaimed my peace, and that was more powerful than any asset or land title. Weeks later, I received a letter, handwritten, from Derek. I've lost everything, but I think I'm finally starting to find myself. Thank you for teaching me what I should have never forgotten. I folded the letter and placed it in the photo album Dad left behind. You see, Revenge isn't always about fire and fury. Sometimes it's about showing someone the mirror they've spent a lifetime avoiding. And if they're lucky, they'll finally see the truth before it's too late. As for me, I started over. Quietly, on my own terms, and for the first time in years. I didn't feel betrayed. I felt free.